It's a very good morning and welcome to the program Road to 2018 Elections Watch with me, Ishmael, and today on the program I've got two gentlemen who are going to introduce themselves, starting from my left.
Okay, good morning. My name is Pasho Rafael Sivanda, standing in here as the chairman for Matepelele and the Zimbabwe National Student Union, ZINASU.
And to my right?
I'm Takunda Madzana. I'm an activist. I'm the one who's been working with the guys from NASTA and mobilizing students around Bulawayo.
Okay, today on the program we're looking on youth participation in national processes, particularly the elections. Now, Pasho, I want to know from you as the youth leader in Students' Union, what do you think what's the importance of young people participating in national processes like elections?
Okay, thank you very much. I think one thing that we should take note of when we speak about the importance of young people participating in these processes is that if you look at the demographic of this country, young people of Zimbabwe, they constitute 60 to 70%. So that on its own tells you that they're a major stakeholder, they are the majority. Hence, you cannot speak of development in anyhow, not even electoral processes, without involving the young people. So I think that on its own, it tells us how important it is to have young people coming on board.
Interesting. Now, coming back to you, Takunda, we have seen young people being encouraged by many organizations, including political parties, to go and register to vote. Do you think young people are heeding to the call to go and register to vote in as much as organizations and political parties will want them to do?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think looking at the statistics which we have right now in this country, which were last released by ZEC, I think now we are sitting at around 63 to 65% of youths who are registered in this election. So I basically think that it's a very good improvement looking at the participation of youth in the yesteryear elections. Youths have not been participating much in the elections and they've not been voting. And I'm just praying and hoping that this 65% is actually going to transform into into voters, not only people who are on the voters' roll. So that on its own, I think it's a very good improvement, and it just shows you that the youths are now prepared to participate in the electoral processes, and they are willing as well to participate even in the economic activities of the country.
So maybe still to pose another question to you, you're saying young people are now more interested in participating in these processes. What is it that has particularly changed that has given them confidence to say, if we do participate, yes, we will benefit certainly something?
The first thing I think basically is that the coming in of the BVR boosted the confidence in the youth. It's by registering in big numbers, it just shows you that the youth have since accepted the BVR is the best way forward. Because if you check in the previous elections, the youths have been the most affected by these like the voting pattern of the youths has been affected by the fact that they were the most people who were being turned away when it comes to elections. The people who are being found missing in the voters' roll are mostly the youths. So that on its own, I think it managed to somehow made the youths not feel comfortable with the system which was there. But the coming in now of the BVR is turned the youths into people who are now more willing to participate in the electoral processes. So that basically is the reason why you are now seeing youths turning out in big numbers. And also I think the fact that we also now have so many youth candidates at presidential level is also motivated the youths, because if you look in most, not talking about the ruling, but most of the other candidates who are contesting in this election, mostly from the opposition parties, are between the ages of 40 and 50. We've got the one from ZIP, I think is around 40. We've got the one from Transform Zimbabwe, who is now part of the alliance, MDC Alliance, is around 40. The leader actually of the MDC Alliance is around 40. And if you look even at the other candidates, the youths who are participating in the process, they are mostly people who are between the ages of 35 and around 45. So that has now given confidence in the youth to say, this is our time, we can do it, and we can do it together as the youth.
Interesting. Now coming to you, Pasho, as the leader of the student union in Matabeleland, and Matabeleland has been, if you look at particularly Bulawayo, looking at the figures of Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, you will see that Bulawayo has got the least number of registered people. What are the issues that the people are raising as a reason why they do not want to register to vote?
Okay, firstly, I would love to accept what you are saying, that the young people from this region, particularly Bulawayo, when it comes to voter registration, the participation is a bit low. I think we need to admit the fact that in this country generally, everyone has lost confidence when it comes to the electoral processes. Now, when it comes to the young people of Bulawayo, you realize that most of the electoral processes were not user-friendly for the youth within Bulawayo. Why do I say so? You agree with me that most of the organizations, when it comes to these things, most of them were centered or based in Harare. So that on its own was a bit now discouraging young people from this region. And you also agree with me that, from 2008 up to date, within this region of Matabeleland, we have lost a lot of young people. And that is not only the factor that is contributing to why young people from this country are not participating in voter registration. You need to bear in mind that we have got events that affected the young people that are here, that we have today. Because if you look or if you take any statistics, you realize that most of the young people from this region, particularly Matabeleland, they do not have identity documents, of which that's a first step when it comes to participating in any democratic processes. So it's not only happening in 2018, but even if you go back in other elections that we once held in this country, you realize that because of such issues of lack of identity documents, because of migration of young people from Matabeleland to the diaspora, that has caused a low turnout.
Interesting. Now, looking at the motivation, what is it that you are telling the young people to make them understand the value that they hold in terms of participating in these national processes?
Okay, I think our message is very clear in terms of attracting young people when it comes to voter registration. Number one, you agree with me that as we speak in 2018, everything that we are doing when it comes to voter registration, it is youth friendly. Why do I say so? You realize that most of the organizations that are encouraging young people to register to vote are being led by youths. And then we also have got incoming youth candidates. So this is more like a generational thing where young people are now owning it up, from the candidates, from the presidential candidates, from the council candidates, from the parliamentary candidates.
Up to the electorate.
Up to the electorate. It's a bit youth friendly. You come to our student union, we are preaching the same thing to say, this is the time for the generation. And as young people, we have been affected a lot, particularly the academia community, because of the lack of employment, because of, the economic shutdown that has been happening in the country. So the people that have been affected much are the young people. So that on its own has motivated young people. It's youth friendly, and the young people have been motivated by the economy of what it is.
Interesting. Takunda, you mentioned that PVR has been one of the key strategies that has actually motivated young people to participate. But PVR has been criticized before that it's prone to manipulation. It's a system that was not developed within the country. It's a system that was developed elsewhere, and therefore the people who actually designed the system can actually use it to their own advantage or to the advantage of those who are actually willing to pay them for an extra cent. What do you think about that?
Can you allow me to just maybe say something in relation to what you've just asked my brother on the other side?
Yeah, it's okay.
He talked about the issue of identity documents here in Matabeleland as part of the reasons why we have a low turnout here in Matabeleland. I can tell you that there was a time, sometime last year, when we went to rural plumtree in Bulelima East. We went to a school which is called Ntoli, and we met the headmaster there. The school has got about 600 students, if I'm not mistaken. And out of the 600 students, 400, around 300 to 400 do not have birth certificates. And that should just show you the magnitude of the problem that we have here in Matabeleland. We are talking about 3/4 of the students who do not have birth certificates. And those students, very soon they will be mothers and fathers. And this is something that we should even pose even to the government to say, they should not just blame Matebele to say there's a low turnout without necessarily looking at the reasons why that could be happening. Because it's not like these people are not responsible. They are very much responsible, but they are being barred by the government from getting what is basically their right, because there's no way that you can go to school without a birth certificate. There's no way that you can go to university without a birth certificate. There's no way that you can get a job without even talking much about voting. Basic rights are not there. Then coming to the issue of the BVR, I know there are people who are saying that the BVR has got some loopholes. Any system has got loopholes. It's up to the responsible authorities now to say there should be not those loopholes, because anything that is done in this country, including the old system that we had, we are actually running away from that old system. Why? Because it had so many loopholes, and we are adopting this new system. Why? Because we believe that if the loopholes are there, they might be minor as compared to the old system. So I just encourage youth to say, let's go and vote. Whatever we think about this system might not be that true, because there are conspiracy theories everywhere about every system. This is a system which has been used in so many countries, and it has yielded positive results. Hence the reason why we adopted it as a country, and we are happy about it as the youth. We are happy about it as a generation. I think let's just look at the positive things. If there are any loopholes, we'll see with time, but for now I don't think there's anything that we can say it's so bad about the system. And besides that, we've got people who are also monitoring. It's not like we are saying the government is
doing it on
their own. And because we know in this country, using the results that we had before, we all know that this government is a stakeholder actually in the elections. Why? Because the ruling party also wants to win those elections. So we have got some mechanisms that we are putting in place to make sure that as youths we are protected, which is why we've also been saying after voting, make sure that you protect your vote. It's not all about just voting and you leave it there. You vote and you make sure that you protect your vote.
Which is something that I'm going to talk to you about later on. But now I would like to hear from you, Pasho, about the program that you are currently running. You guys have been active in social media. You've been encouraging young people to go out and register to vote. You've even been providing the resources necessary for them to go and register to vote. Can you tell us more about the exercise, where it's coming from, how it came about, and what are the objectives of the exercise?
Okay, we've been carrying out this exercise of mobilizing young people to register to vote, students to be in particular. We have realized that you cannot speak of a development in any country without including the students. So students become a critical mass when it comes to development. And when you take a general survey, you begin to see that a lot of students are not registered. Yet they are the people who complain about the economy. Yet they are the people who are looking forward to say we want employment. So we were doing this exercise to promote civic engagement, to say that it's not only enough to complain, but let's complain and register to vote. So we started this initiative as Zimbabwe National Student Union in partnership with the National Youth Development Trust, where they've been providing basically what we've been doing. We've been mobilizing students, and then NYTT, they come in and provide transport. Then we ferry them from campus to the
district office.
Yes, to the district office of ZEC. So basically, that's what we've been doing each and every week, every Friday. We've been ferrying students, I think 70 to 80 on average per week.
Which is quite good. And you mentioned the aspect that the students are the ones who complain more about the economy. But are they still complaining that much, considering that now that we have got a new dispensation in place?
Yes, as a student leader, of course, I would say that we are still complaining, because you cannot tell me that when we have got a new president, then lecturers go on strike. When we've got a new president, doctors go on strike. When we've got a new president, prices go up. When we've got a new president, things are beginning, to be dysfunctional when you're expecting the new government to deliver. Not only talking about that, but you realize that as a concerned young person, you are saying that this is a new government, and the new government went on to appoint a minister that is far much above than the young people that we have. Why do I say that? We are a generation which I always refer to we are a generation which I always refer to as an iPad or a digital generation, where we are saying that we are now embracing more of technology. So it doesn't make sense for us as the young people to have a minister that is 68 years old, whom we are not even so sure that she or she can use a smartphone or a simple tablet. So we are very much disappointed in this new political dispensation. So these are some of the issues that as students, as the young people, we are facing. So we are still complaining. We are expecting more from the new president.
Yes, you are still complaining and you're expecting more from the new president. But have you had any engagements with the minister that you're talking about? To say, minister, for us as students or as the iPad generation, as you put it, we now want to communicate with you probably on a daily basis or whenever. We now want to engage with you using technology. Have you done any of those? Have you explored any of those avenues?
Okay, from the student community, I understand. In the capital, in Harare, there's been a function where the president was meeting every stakeholder. Then students were also invited.
Yes.
But we are saying we need an interface with the president as students alone, not to say that the president addresses students with other stakeholders. So far, those are. We haven't gotten a lot of platforms to interact with the president as students, and we are looking forward to that.
Interesting. Now, Takunda, you spoke earlier on about measures that you have put in place to actually safeguard the PVR system, that it cannot be manipulated or so on, or rather minimize the situations that can lead to manipulation of the system. What are your fears about the upcoming elections?
Okay, thank you very much. We cannot necessarily say we've got so much fears in relation to the BVR per se, but our fears are mainly based on the behavior and the attitude of the government towards elections, because as you can see, they've not reformed that much from the old system in terms of behavior. BVR is there, we've registered, but for as long as people cannot behave in a way that you can see, which is visible even to an ordinary person on the ground, then we tend to have some reservations, especially in relation to the elections. The behavior of the government, a very simple thing which they were supposed to do before we even talk about voting, was to make sure that they can create a very good platform for every opposition political party to campaign, especially on the radio and the print media. But that has not been done. They cannot even reform even the laws that they promised that they were going to reform prior to the elections. So those are our biggest fears. As to the BVR, of course, they are here and there. We are going to make sure that as youths will do everything that we can to make sure that we protect our vote. But the government has got a big responsibility of making sure that they do not frighten people, they do not chase away people by their behavior. Because when you talk about the new dispensation and we have got a new system like BVR, things should be seen to be happening not by a politician, not by someone who comes from university or a youth. Go from the rural areas should be happy about the system. Everyone should be clamoring for the election to come, because we are seeing that the ground is now level. But as it stands right now, there is no confidence. People cannot be confident when ZBC is still the same ZBC that used to be. We cannot have a situation whereby we've got the president and his wife on TV alone. We've got so many people, youths included, who want to contest as well. They should be given that opportunity to campaign and say whatever they want to say on radio and on TV. So our BVR is not our biggest fear, but our biggest fear is the government attitude towards the election. We just hope that they are going to reform before elections, and we just hope that they are going to make sure that this BVR does not just come to rubber stamp the election. It must be effective and it must be proper. And we are going to try and employ our efforts, and the government should be doing the same as well. So the government attitude is our biggest fear, not the BVR.
So if I'm getting you correctly, are you saying Zimbabwe is not ready for an election yet?
With the behavior of the government, I can say so.
We are not ready.
The behavior of the government is the reason why, is the reason why I'm saying we as a country are not ready for elections, because we cannot go to an election where at the end of the day people are going to cry foul after they've lost the election. We can't go to an election like that. We cannot go to an election where we know that this person is going to be the winner. We cannot go to an election where we feel that some people are being put on the sidelines and the light is being focused on one person. We can't go to an election like that. Unless and until we have got those things in place, then we won't be ready for election. The other thing that we are also much concerned about is the participation of the army in this election. We cannot go to an election where an army which was part of the coup which happened in November participates directly in an election. That would automatically show you that there is bias towards a certain political party. So unless and until all those things are achieved, then we won't be ready for an election.
Interesting. Partially earlier on, lights.
It's too much. All right, take it.
Let's continue.
And remember, the dead space satisfies man.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
Let's go.
Okay. Pasha, earlier on you mentioned that students are complaining about things that are not going well in terms of your economy, the jobs and what. So what are the, I know when someone is being asked by probably if they have seen a majority of their members or friends doing something like registering to vote, they will also do the same.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually not a guarantee that they will do cast their vote when it's time to cast their vote. What are the measures that you're going to take in terms of encouraging young people to also go and vote?
Okay, I think as a nation, when speaking about registering to vote, we don't need to focus much and say register to vote and vote. I want to say it out to any Zimbabwean that is listening, that when we are saying register to vote, it's a first step towards democracy, towards development, towards representation. Why do I say so? Are you aware that when the government of Zimbabwe selects and say Bulawayo has got 12 MPs or Harare should have 29 MPs, those districts, those constituencies, those wards are divided or are given to a province based on the number of the people that have been registered to vote.
Yeah.
I'll take, for example, a township that we all know here in Bulawayo, Country Park. Now, Country Park, big as it has got a councillor, but it's big enough to become a constituency. Now, it can become a constituency if we have got a lot of people that have registered to vote in Country Park. So before we even speak about who are we going to vote for, before we even speak about who are the candidates that are there, we should encourage young people particularly to register to vote. Why young people? They are a majority. Why young people? They are the most active demographic group within the country. So you realize that the message that we are now preaching to the young people, we are saying that let's register to vote so that we contribute to a development. We will then say, let's vote for so and so, let's vote for so and so after we have registered to vote. So I believe that by registering to vote, you are already taking a step towards the democratization of this country.
Takunda, coming to you, I have realized that there are so many young people who have actually declared their candidacy for the upcoming elections and they are running as independent. I've also seen in Harare where there is it's more like what do they call it? But the abbreviation is POVO, which is People's Own Voice, where independent candidates have actually come together to say we are working together to campaign for the upcoming elections. Do you believe the people of Zimbabwe will vote for candidates who are independent rather than the candidates coming from political parties?
I basically think that those people who are becoming independent candidates probably have got reasons for them to do that.
Yeah.
But knowing the people of Zimbabwe the way that I've known them for the past so many years, they are not people who would vote for independent candidates as such. Because even if you check in our history as a country, right from 1980, I think the people who managed to win, to become MPs in any election as independent candidates are less than 15 or so.
Yeah, less than 5 actually.
I just picked the 15 as the highest number, but I know they are ones that I know actually less than 5. So considering that the young people actually do not have resources, and our background is the young people, I don't think they're managing to win.
But then shouldn't they be channeling that energy that they want to put in their election campaign to a different campaign that will actually involve everyone else?
I actually think that they should have grabbed the opportunity which had been presented to the young people and anyone else by the political parties. Is I understand almost all political parties right now that we have from the opposition side are in either way involved in some alliances. So I think as young people, those ones who are contesting as independent candidates, that was the opportunity for them to also go and become part of those political alliances, so that at least they can stand a chance of winning an election. Because they are on their own, I don't see them managing, especially under this environment. I don't see them managing. It's a good thing though that they are posing a challenge and they are just showing that they've got the confidence to say we can do it. But winning is something else. I would think that they would stand a chance whether they are in opposition or they are in the ruling party, not as opposition party members, not as independent candidates, I mean.
You are still watching Road to 2018 Elections Watch. Today I've got students coming from different organizations. They are representing students, but we are discussing the issue of youth participation in national processes. And the gentlemen in the house today are telling me that young people are busy complaining, particularly the students. And Pasho, you're the one who is dealing with these young people, and you are telling me that these people are complaining. On your own, do you think, or rather, do you have any political ambitions? Because I believe you now understand the issues that the young people are more concerned about. Do you have any political ambition to run for office, even not now, but maybe in the elections of 2023?
Okay, thank you very much for such a question. But I think with the hardships that I've endured here in Zimbabwe as a student, as a young person, that has motivated me enough to say that in the foreseeable future, I'm very much ready and able to step into the political arena.
Interesting. And the other interesting question that I would like to know from you, probably maybe it might sound a bit personal, but we have heard the rumors of other political parties saying student union belong or are aligned to certain political parties. Is it true or not?
Our student union, Zimbabwe National Student Union, is not aligned to any political party. What I can tell you about Zimbabwe National Student Union, it's non-partisan but very political.
So is the difference between the two?
What I'm saying is that this is student politics. Yes. It's very political, but we are not aligned to any political party. I know that the notion outside there, people are saying that ZINASU is MDC and MDC is ZINASU. But let me put it clearly. When we speak about ZINASU and the opposition parties, people should know that who came first, ZINASU or MDC came first, or whosoever came first. But this is what happened. When the MDC, the Movement for Democratic Change, was formed, it was formed by different student unions, including ZINASU, different trade unions, different NGOs, people coming together to fight for a democratic cause. So you realize that ZINASU gave birth to Movement for Democratic Change. And we had leaders like we had leaders like Arthur Kuseni Mtambara, Nelson Nero Chamisa, and all these are shining politicians that we have. But that on its own did not stop the move for ZINASU. You understand? Yeah. So that's the relationship which is there. ZINASU is on its own, then the MTC is on its own. Yes.
Thank you so much. Takunda, we have come to the end of the program. I would like to hear from you your last words. What are your last words to young people out there?
Yeah, what I can basically say is that this is our chance, it's our opportunity. This thing of saying that youths are leaders of tomorrow must actually find its way down the drain, because we are not leaders of tomorrow, we are leaders of today. In any country where you go, where there's been a revolution, youths lead revolutions, and we should not wait for that opportunity. In any political circle where you go, power is not given, power is grabbed, and the youths should make sure that they grab that power. And it's never too late to join politics, it's never too late to participate in elections, it's never too late actually to make sure that you defend your vote. So I'm encouraging each and every youth, whether at home, at work, a student, any other youth that you can think of, should make sure that you go and register to vote. Registration is still on. You go and register to vote and make sure that you vote, and after voting, make sure that you defend your vote.
Thank you so much. Pasho, your last words.
Okay, my last words as a student leader and as a young person is that, ladies and gentlemen at home, voter registration is still on. Let's go and register to vote. You want employment, register to vote. You want a new Zimbabwe, register to vote. You want Zimbabwe to be what it is, go and register to vote. So my message, it's very clear. Let's go and register to vote. You and I, we have a lot to do.
Thank you so much. You are watching Road to 2018 Elections Watch with me, Ishmael Mkanta. Thank you so much. Till we meet again, same time on another program. It's goodbye.